Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Ana Knezevich.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, Cash App, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of Uncut, Unedited.
We do not edit.
We don't edit.
You can probably tell.
We do edit some, not a lot. When actually, we don't hardly edit anymore because we was like, you know what? Just give it to them.
This is us.
It's us.
Love us or hate us.
You're going to hear us cough. You're going to hear us. You're going to hear her fart. You're going to hear all kinds of stuff.
No, you won't.
Anyway.
No, you won't. And we did recently have a comment that was just brought to my attention that I interrupt Darren too much.
I know. I'm glad that they brought that out.
So now Darren's going to tell us this story.
No.
No?
I don't read. I don't know how to.
Just kidding.
I know buttons.
I know buttons. I push them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're colorful, so they're pretty. Okay, so this one may be a shorter one, but it has some very recent activity, so we're going to talk about it. We talk a lot about how hard it is on everyone who knows a person who goes missing, and that's a ballpark all of its own. But another layer of a tragedy like that is when you feel like you know who is responsible for the disappearance and still can't get the answers that you desperately need. And this is one of those cases, so get ready to get pissed. We're talking about 40-year-old Ana, described as sweet, funny, smart, definitely adventurous, and caring. She was married to David Knezevich for 13 years, so quite a while. They were separated at this time, so keep that in mind. They owned EOX Technology Solutions, Inc. Now, this is an IT company, but they also owned real estate in South Florida. Now, as far as I know, they lived in Florida for the most part. And I say it like that because there's a lot of travel in the story. Ana had been born in Colombia and became a U.S. citizen in 2009. David is a Yugoslavian-born naturalized citizen of the United States. And I mentioned that they were separated and they were planning on getting a divorce. So it wasn't just like they were separated and things were going to work out. This was definitely on the road to divorce. And Ana would end up moving to Madrid, Spain.
Nice.
Right.
But what's a Yugoslavian? Go back up. Yugoslavian-born naturalized citizen of the United States.
So he's a United States citizen, but he was born in Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that just confused me. For some reason, I was like,
eh? So the day after Christmas in 2023 is the last time that Ana was seen in the United States. So she'd only been in Madrid for roughly 5 weeks when she talked to a friend on the phone the evening of February 2nd of 2024. The next day, on Saturday the 3rd, that friend and another friend of Ana's got a couple of texts from her that didn't really make sense to them. Not like they were gibberish, more like it didn't sound like something that she would have said or done. Now, when they didn't hear from her again and couldn't get any response from her on Sunday the 4th, there was a request for a welfare check to be done at the apartment that she was renting. She was not there when they came, and the apartment was locked from the outside. Now, the family's trying to figure out what's going on. They can't get a hold of her. She's not home. Why? The friend reached out to David that evening, and it took a while because she called several times, but he wouldn't answer. She finally got him to answer, and he said that he hadn't heard from her either. He was in Fort Lauderdale here in the States. Now, the friend had already had a trip to Madrid planned for the 8th, so she went ahead and looked up flights from Miami on the 7th and asked David to book that flight that she found and meet her over there so they could help figure out what was going on. And he agrees, 100%. I mean, they may be splitting up, they may be getting a divorce, but it's still somebody he loves, right? But when she gets to Madrid, she spends some time again trying to get a hold of David to find out where he is. But when he finally answers his phone, he tells her, well, instead I decided to go to Serbia.
to look for Ana?
No, just to go.
Gotcha.
Now, as time goes on and she's not seen or heard from, the investigation is in full swing.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that it's not moving very fast because she's a U.S. citizen who went missing in Spain. So there's a lot of coordination involved. Plus, she traveled a lot. So without a body or a crime scene, they can't jump to foul play right out of the gate.
Foul play.
Foul play. But it doesn't take long for things to not add up. So I think I'm going to read the rest of this from the actual complaint that was filed, and then to show you kind of how we got here, and then I'll sprinkle in the details that we know now. So the complaint that was docketed on May 3rd of 2024 says that on or about December 26th of 2023, a 40-year-old female and U.S. citizen traveled from Miami International Airport, Southern District of Florida, to Madrid, Spain. This would be the last time we talked about Ana being in the States. On or about February 2nd of 2024, the victim's friends and families who had communicated with her while she was in Spain lost contact with her. The victim and friends had planned a trip that the victim did not show up for. The last activity on the victim's bank account was for a flower purchase on or about February 2nd. So that was, again, the last day that she was seen alive.
So was it an in-person purchase?
Now, they don't say. So, I mean, it kind of sounds like it was an in-person purchase, but they didn't say if she had just bought it over the phone or what, just that she had made that purchase.
Gotcha.
And then there's also a charge from a restaurant in Madrid on or about February 10th, which was a charge for failing to show up for a dinner reservation. So that's definitely not an in-person purchase. She just didn't show up for dinner, and they charged her anyways for holding the reservation. It says that the separation was contentious, but David didn't want to split up the marital assets with Ana equally, so they're fighting over money. Seems he had sold some real estate in Florida, so they currently had about $6 million in their savings account. David allegedly didn't want to share all of that, like he didn't want to give her half. But his lawyer would later say that the separation was amicable and financial arrangements were being worked out. So they're like, no, everything was great, of course. The complaint says Ana was fearful of David and believed that he was monitoring her whereabouts. An investigation into her disappearance. This is what I'm talking about. This is what you get with us. My words. They all just go together.
I ain't editing it.
Her disappearance by Spanish authorities showed that on or about February 2nd, she is on surveillance footage at her apartment building in Madrid, Spain, entering the building at around 2:30 p.m. This is the last time that she is seen alive. The same day, at approximately... Now that I've messed up once, it's just going to keep happening. I feel like that goat. At approximately 9:27 p.m., building surveillance shows a male wearing a helmet enter the building at the same time that some individuals were leaving. One of those.
Yeah, so people pay higher rent to live in a secured building.
Right.
You know.
And then you have people that just, let me catch that door. Oh. And they just let them walk right in, not realizing that they're not supposed to be there. And there's always cases like this, like I said, just somebody slipping in. And a dude in a motorcycle helmet, not actively on a motorcycle, is a big red flag to me. Like, why do you still got your helmet on, homie?
Walking into the building?
Right.
Well, I mean, you know, maybe he's carrying some stuff.
Oh, he's carrying something.
And, you know, didn't want that just be more. That way he just leaves the helmet on.
Well,
watch a movie.
He ascends the staircase while carrying a can of spray paint. So, yeah, he was carrying something.
There you go. See?
Yeah, that really kept him from taking that helmet off his head. So add to the weirdness of the motorcycle helmet indoors, now you got a man carrying a can of spray paint into a building. Mm-hmm. Now, he used that to disable a surveillance camera by spraying the lens. Now, it wasn't completely obscured, so you can see the man fasten a piece of duct tape to the lock of the building entrance to prevent the lock from engaging. So he just taped it shut so that it wouldn't latch. And that is actually the top left picture on our case pic. You can see him. That's from the surveillance camera. That's him in his helmet. Mm-hmm. The male, who looks directly into the camera, has physical characteristics that resemble those of David. At approximately 10:30 p.m., the male is captured leaving the elevator with what appears to be a suitcase. So he's in the building for roughly an hour. On or about February 4th of 2024, Spanish firefighters enter the victim's apartment for a welfare check and discover that she was not in her apartment. Pursuant to a judge's order, police subsequently search the apartment and discover her cell phone, laptop, and their chargers are missing. From surveillance footage, Spanish law enforcement was able to identify that brand of spray paint that was used to spray the camera. And they determined that a retailer, which was a local hardware store as it was later reported in Madrid, had a recorded sale of that particular brand of spray paint on or about February 2nd. Surveillance footage from that retailer shows an individual who looks like David purchasing the spray paint along with 2 rolls of duct tape around noon on February 2nd.
So that would have been the middle picture.
That's the middle picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was the same day he used them.
He bought them and used them immediately.
Okay.
Not immediately, about 9.5 or 10 hours later, he used them. Next in the complaint, they show a text string. A Colombian woman who had met David on a dating app in October of 2023 told law enforcement that on February 3rd, David contacted her on WhatsApp and asked her to translate a message into, quote, perfect Colombian, end quote, for a friend in Serbia who was writing a script about a Colombian character, saying that he wanted it to sound authentic. They go back and forth about making it come across right, as something that a Rolla would say. And I'll spare you the back and forth, but the translation was, quote, I met someone wonderful. He has a summer house about 2 hours from Madrid. We are going there now, and I will spend a few days there. There is barely any signal, though. I'll call you when I come back. Kisses, end quote. And then he had her do one more. Quote, yesterday, I went for a walk after leaving therapy, and a man approached me to flirt, and we had an incredible connection, end quote.
Those are the weird texts her friends got, right?
Those are the weird texts her friends got.
Okay.
Yep. Give me one. Yeah. He did do things like he changed little things. Like instead of saying there was barely a signal, he says the signal is spotty. So he just changed up little things like that.
Yeah.
But what he's trying to do, which we all know, is trying to keep them from looking for her too quickly or give the police another suspect to look for. You know what I mean? Like just creating that doubt. Like she's fine. She's with some guy 2 hours away.
Yeah.
He tells the woman, thanks, gorgeous. And she said, don't mention it, handsome. I hope it helps. And he said, it helps my friend, winky face. It also mentioned that David shared a photo with the woman of a plane ticket that he purchased on February 16th for a flight from Serbia to Bogota, scheduled to arrive on February 19th. Now, it didn't go into great detail about this. It just said that he did not board that flight. So I'm assuming that that's where she lives. And so he was like, I'll come see you. And then he didn't. He and the woman continued to communicate on WhatsApp until February 26th. Now, that woman does tell David that she told our mother about meeting a Serbian man online. Wanting to know more about him, Mom Googled his name and found out that his wife was reported missing in Madrid. The woman found an article containing a message reportedly coming from Ana that matched what she translated for his writer friend. I'm going to say here that that's because her friends and family have been very vocal in this case, doing interviews and showing the media and all of us those text messages. So they actually literally had them to show. And she's like, that's what I translated. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look at what they found out.
And look at what they found out. Yep. Now, I think we'll take some time here to hear from today's sponsor, I think.
Yep. Sounds like a good plan to me. If you're in a heated argument with your dryer, don't worry. You'll both cool down eventually. Or maybe you just need a washer and dryer. Don't get agitated. Take a load off.
Get your laundry set from My Laundry Solutions and let them iron out your problems. If you live in an apartment, get your set from them. They service them, and they have locations in Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. The most recent area is Lubbock, Texas, around the Tech Terrace area, with more locations coming soon.
So give them a call today. 800-535-4411.
or go online to mylaundrysolutions.com.
And let them wash your troubles away.
Wash your troubles away.
Wash them troubles away.
Now,
keep going.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. See how petty I can be? Customs and Border Protection show that on or about January 27th of 2024, David flew from Miami International Airport to Istanbul, Turkey. And then he traveled out of Serbia by vehicle on or about January 30th and returned to Serbia by vehicle on or about February 5th. Now, per Google Maps, by car, it takes approximately 26 hours to drive from where he was in Serbia to Madrid, Spain. And that's, here we go, 2,592 kilometers or 1,610 miles away. That's quite a trick.
That's one way.
That's one way. Yep. And then you're going to have to help me here. So David rented a Peugeot 308. Any idea?
I know the word.
Well,
No.
I looked up how to pronounce it and it said Peugeot
Okay.
308 in Serbia from January 29th through March 15th. When he returned the car to the rental company, they say that the windows had been newly tinted, meaning David had them tinted. The license plate frame had been changed and 2 stickers had been removed from the car. Why?
So he's changing the appearance.
He is changing the way that car looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who pays to have the windows of a car tinted that you've rented if you're not up to no good? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
He also filed a complaint while he had the car that both the license plates had been stolen off of it in Spain.
Sure they were.
Okay, David.
Sure.
And so they look at the mileage, right? They always clock your mileage. He put 7,677 kilometers or 4,770 miles on that rental car, which is pretty damn telling. And I'll spoil this next part a little bit because you need to know that he allegedly swapped those plates with stolen plates. So the complaint says that Spanish authorities ran a search in their plate radar database for the stolen plates and see that they were stolen from Calle Fresco Sevilla, which is a street near where Anna's apartment was. So, I mean, he's basically drawing a map.
Yeah.
The stolen plate passed through 2 toll booths in the middle of the night on February 2nd into the 3rd. And they were attached to a Peugeot 308.
So was they his stolen plates?
So he took the plates off the rental car and then stole plates off of a car near her apartment and put those on there to run through the toll booths thinking that they wouldn't catch him.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
coming back. He rented the car, but that car was running through shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, when he went through those toll booths, those windows were tinted. They were so tinted that you couldn't see who the driver was. Oh, yeah. Right? That's kind of the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
He thought he planned this whole thing out. But anyways, one of those was just outside of Madrid. Then on March 4th of 2024, a woman purporting to be Ana contacted insurance carriers to cancel 3 insurance policies held by Ana for her and David's business. The policies related to vehicles that were used by the business. During the call, children can be heard in the background, but Ana doesn't have kids. And the phone number that the call came from was owned by David's company, with David listed as the contact for that phone number.
Well, it's just all piling up, isn't it?
He's just building them a bridge to take him to prison. There's a lot of it. On April 24th of 2024, an employee of David's says that David told them to impersonate Ana to open a new bank account. Now, David gave them her social security number to do that. The next day, they told David that they were not comfortable impersonating a missing person. And David said that this was, quote, not serious, end quote, and needed to be done in order for the employees to be paid, saying, I can't call with my voice because I sound like a guy. So my question was, If it's suddenly such a problem that it would cause the employees not to get paid, how have they been getting paid until now? And then why not open it in your own name? You own that business. Why can't you do it yourself? These are probably questions that that person also asked themselves and then was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. So, and that's all that was in the complaint. Now, David released a statement through his lawyer saying that he had spoken to the police a number of times. I have reached out to the FBI and let them know that we are available to aid in any way. And his attorney said he'd given police information on credit cards and attempted to hire a lawyer in Spain. So he's like, I'm cooperating fully, whatever you need. But it didn't matter because David was arrested in May of 2024 at Miami International Airport when he flew in from Serbia. The motorcycle helmet that he was wearing in that surveillance footage at the apartment building, they found out that it was bought in a motorcycle shop near the apartment. So he bought all the things he would need literally right next to where he committed a crime. Now, even though his lawyer is saying he was 1,600 miles away from Madrid in Serbia when the man was on that surveillance in that building, it couldn't have been David. Okay. The police believe that he actually killed her in that apartment and then carried her out in the suitcase and then drove to North Italy where he disposed of her body in the woods because GPS data from the rental car shows that that's where he went when he left Madrid. They did try to search in the area, but to this day, they have not found her remains.
Yeah, that's just horrible.
Yeah. And normally this would be the part of the episode where I talk about what happened in court, but not for this case. Because just recently, on Monday, April 28th of this year, 2025, David, who was in federal custody, was found sometime around 8 a.m. in his cell. And they reported that he unalived himself. There were no details provided by the time we're recording this.
He didn't want to go to prison.
And he would have, too. They had a lot. A jury would have probably found him guilty even though he protested his innocence the whole time. It doesn't matter. The evidence adds up.
Yeah.
Now, he had originally been arrested for kidnapping, but in November, an indictment was filed charging him with kidnapping resulting in death, foreign domestic violence resulting in death, and foreign murder of a United States national. Several statements have been issued since his death. The Federal Bureau of Prisons said the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the United States Marshal Service were notified. No employee or other incarcerated individuals were injured, and at no time was the public in danger. And I can tell that really came from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
His attorney said, the defense team was devastated to learn about it this morning. We trust that an appropriate investigation will be conducted. Man, they're really tugging at the heartstrings. It was Anna's family, that released the saddest statement, of course, saying, quote, the suicide of Anna's murderer closes a painful chapter in our lives, previously filled with dread that he might not face justice. Now, we may never know where he put Anna's body. It is a cruel final insult that we may never recover. Anna's remains or know the full extent of the betrayal she suffered. Still, we remain committed to seeking the truth and justice for Anna through our attorney, Mr. Ingber, and to preserving Anna's memory while honoring her life with dignity, strength, and love. We are thankful to the authorities that they continue to investigate and to search for Anna's body.
So he didn't leave a note or anything?
He didn't leave anything. Not that we know of. Yeah. They didn't say if there was anything found. I imagine that would have been high news if he had have. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot. You want to talk?
Nope.
Earlier this year, Anna's family did file a wrongful death suit against David. Now, this doesn't mean that they are now out of options on that part. They would just probably have to include his estate in it.
Yeah.
She has not been declared deceased at this time because they haven't found anything to show she's deceased. So I wanted to mention that. So her family will be searching for her until they find her. And that's sad.
Yeah.
But that's it for this one so far. Any final thoughts from you?
No, it kind of sucks they didn't at least mention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we're at in Italy.
Right.
They didn't see it on like the GPS, like where the car stopped for like a long period of time or anything.
Well, that's what gave them the information about going and looking in certain woods, because that's where the car went in North Italy. So they've looked, but so far they haven't found anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know about these woods. They didn't specify what woods. They just said North Italy. So they could be like really dense, and it could take a really long time to go find. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
It's so sad.
Well, that's the end of this one.
Yep. If you like our content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever a new episode drops or we go live. If you have any case suggestions, you can send them to dnda.truecrime@gmail.com. We'll read them.
And as always, don't forget to tell your friends. So until next time, guys, tune in. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, make sure you guys let all your friends know so that they can enjoy it with you.
That's right.
So, till next time, guys, we'll see you.
Bye.